Emotional roller coaster this offseason in Major League Rugby has been absolutely crazy. And it continued over the course of the past weeks. The good, the bad, all of it. And if that doesn't explain the crazy offseason we had, I don't know what does. We break it all down and react from Utah Warriors departure to all the signings that have happened over the course of the past couple of weeks. That'll be right here on the Fantasy Ruckers Show.
Where rugby and the world of fantasy sports collide. Welcome to the Fantasy Ruckers Show, bringing fantasy rugby to the masses, talking all things rugby from the MLR to leagues around the world. We're on top of it. Headphones on, pads off. This is the Fantasy Ruckers Show. Now, here are your hosts, Ryan Yee, Matt Yee, and Devin Vanderpool.
What's up, everybody? This is episode 172 of the Fantasy Ruckers Show. Thank you so much for Fantasy Ruckers League members, our community members, and everyone else tagging along on this journey of making fantasy rugby a reality in MLR. The boys are back. Matt Yee, Devin, Vandy Vanderpool, as we continue to trudge through offseason.
As we go on.
Oh man, we're starting pretty somber.
I gotta go.
Right off the
I gotta
top.
go. I gotta go. This is
I know. Yeah, we got a lot to catch up on as we continue our off-season schedule of every other week episodes, and it feels like we need to get back to doing every week episodes because there seems to be something brand new that happens literally every other day when it comes to this league, and we're calling this episode the emotional roller coaster because I don't know, boys, if my heart can take any more of these highs and lows of what is this MLR 2025 offseason heading into MLR 2026. But here we are. We had over the course of the past couple weeks, if you didn't hear, another team leaving. That is the Utah Warriors, which is why Matthew sings the sad music.
Well,
Vandy,
not just for them.
For everyone, I guess, in this
for all of our fallen soldiers.
And we obviously also have some other news. We have signings that have gotten us excited. And this all comes off of an announcement from the league that MLR 2026 is going. And we foresee this happening and keep on going for the league in years to come. So we're going to try to break it all down this episode. We've had now 2 weeks to digest everything that's happened. And here on this episode 172, we share our thoughts and I guess vent together. So come in, stay a while. This is the therapy that we all need from this MLR 2026. I'll start with Vandy. We heard from Matty and his beautiful music and his singing. But Vandy, you holding up there, buddy? You're an in-house Utah Warriors fan. The people bestowed this team on you when we gave them the opportunity to vote who you should cheer for. And this is what the end product is.
You know what? You just never think it's gonna happen to you, man. You just,
It's tough. I know. I know.
You know what? It's more frustrating, honestly. From somehow rumors start floating around and you hear inklings. Like I remember I made a joke like a month ago, more than a month ago. I was like, "Yeah, well, it ain't Utah." And Matty goes, "Huh, not yet." And then it's like, and then the rumors start, and then it's like, "There's no way." I seen we needed some funding. I'll go on my rant later.
Yeah. No, we'll get into it, like you said, Vandy. And I don't know if I will live to regret this, but the reins are coming off for you, Vandy. I think I need to hear fully uncensored Vandy on this episode when it comes to your feelings on this situation. But we're going to get into
for
it.
The kids.
Probably what most people are tuning in for. We are going to react to the news that the Utah Warriors are no more in Major League Rugby, and they join, as Maddie mentioned, the other fallen teams this offseason who will no longer be with us here in MLR 2026. We are down to 6 teams. So reacting to that here on this episode. But hey, amid of all that, I got a list of news that we got to go over and a whole bunch of confirmed signings, re-signings, departures. Maddie, our in-house overseas rugby correspondent, has some news for us when it comes to maybe reading between the lines when it comes to some super rugby rosters that may tell us who may and may not be in the league next year. So all of that is coming here on this episode 172, a jam-packed show here, and we're excited to be back with you here on the Fantasy Ruckers Show as we, again, we're in this together, guys. If you're listening out there, this is your escape here on the Fantasy Ruckers show. Share with us what your thoughts are, and we'll get through all of this together. And the way you're going to do that is at the Fantasy Ruckers. Social
Mm.
media handles up above, down below in the description. Join our Discord community where you can chat with other like-minded MLR passionate fans about their thoughts so far this season. And hey, check out the fantasyruckers.com because if you missed if you missed a league that had more than 6 teams, you could reminisce on the good old days and check out some fantasy stats on the fantasyruckers.com when we did have a full league here. But here we are breaking down some of the latest stuff that are happening here this MLR offseason, and we'll do that right away here, getting into a TFR news dump.
News dump.
All right. Episode 172 TFR.
It's the news, Ryan.
We're gonna get
Not
right
breaking,
into it. I don't know if it's breaking. I think
It's
people have
news.
digested, reacted. It is news.
News since the last time we were on here.
News since the last time we were on. That is indeed correct. But let's get right into it. We'll get into all the other stuff, the whole other list of more recent news that I have listed here on our rundown in just a sec. But I mean, let's not try to delay it anymore. But Utah no longer with us here as they officially announced that they will be departing and folding here for the MLR 2026 season. They come out with an announcement to all their fans, to all their supporters, and everyone that has been following this team. Vandy being one of them. I'm not going to read the whole list because I feel like these social media posts get longer and longer. Each team that we progressively came on, you know what I mean? It started off.
They had a paragraph.
It started off with the Nola Gold where it's like, oh, we're done. And then it went to the Miami Sharks that kind of had an announcement. Then it went to the Houston SaberCats that obviously had a bigger announcement. And then now we're here with the Utah Warriors that have, let me count here, a 4-page tweet of a message to their fans, which I guess if you go down the line in terms of, supportive fan groups, I mean, you'd put Utah right up there with the Houston SaberCats in terms of the shock and awe of a team that is leaving this league. Talk about passionate fan base, talk about teams that were on the up and up. This falls right into that category. And I think NOLA, yes, we had a reaction to because they've been a long founding member. The success wasn't there, so maybe it was a little bit easier to digest. Miami, relatively new team, not really that much sentiment there when it comes to that. Obviously, we had Dallas a while ago when it came to that as well. And again, newer team, not as much sentiment maybe. And then you had the merging of the Legion of combining both RFCLA and San Diego. Not really a departure, so maybe it felt a little bit easier there. But Houston hit hard. We talked with Seth Smith. You can check out that interview that we did a couple episodes ago. Abundantly clear there about what that meant to him and how hard that hit. And now here we are sitting a few weeks later with the announcement that the Utah Warriors are departing down to 6 teams. And if not more, definitely at least just as much as the Houston SaberCats. I think this one hits hard. And I think, like Vandy alluded to, rumors, right? Maybe whisperings that there was a little bit of challenges getting investment involved and keeping this team afloat. But it's one thing to hear those rumors, and it's another thing to actually see the announcement that a team that was so exciting to watch, especially as of late, is not going to be with us here in MLR 2026. It feels like I'm saying a eulogy right now, but I'll let Vandy kind of pick it up. Vandy, you're the guy on this show that the brand new rugby fan, right? You bought into this league when we first started, putting this thing together. You were a man without colors, and we let the people choose who you should invest in, who you should cheer for. And they said, "Hey, why don't you go pick out the team down in God's land, the Mormons,
Bible Belt, baby,
the Bible Belt, and cheer on for the
get you a
Utah
new team
Warriors
now.
team." And
I don't think I can.
Handful of years later, they're no longer with us, man. How does it feel for you, dude? Because you're the guy that's invested in this team. Obviously, we've been following it,
Top
but you've been the
monitoring,
guy that's been buying in here.
clearly.
Shut up, Matt. No, you know what? It you threw me off rock. You know what? It really sucks. I was prepared for you guys to have like a mini compilation of all the
Oh yeah.
moments I had of digging down in the basement, pulling up Utah when they weren't playing great. Then they had
Mm.
the absolute, what were we calling, the culling of our last
Mm.
roster? What were we
Yep.
calling the? But
The the
it just
exodus, the mass
the
exodus.
exodus and live through that.
Now they've done another mass exodus.
Yeah, it sucks too. We just won a fantasy, championship together. I had so many of
Oh,
them. I was grateful. It just, to be quite honest, it's like all the other ones, but it just, like I said earlier, it happened to you, and it's just gutting. As a fan, like, I got into this. Didn't like Ryan said, I didn't pick my team. It was given to me, and I was pumped. I remember seeing the Utah colors. I was like, red and black, dope. Can you get behind that? I thought the Utah logo was the best logo. So I was like, I can get behind it. I remember everybody making fun of me that I was actually a Legion fan, because yeah, I can't say Utah was much to watch then, but just seeing some legends on the pitch, growing to know the game, because I'll be honest, those early seasons, there was so much content I don't know what I was watching. So I was like, I'm just watching the Utah games. I was like, I'm just watching Utah for sure. I'd clear like, I ended up watching, three or four, but I was like, I'm just gonna watch Utah. And then you grow an affiliation. And then it's like, then it's real. Then you actually care about the team. It wasn't just not a facade, but it wasn't just that anymore. And it's gutting. It's the first time, like when I got into hockey, I got in on a merger team, funny enough, Colorado. They merged with the Nordiques, and that's how I gained a fandom. And I don't know, man. This is the first time that it's just like you care about a sports team, and sports are different, man. Because you kind of live through these guys. If you played sports and you didn't reach, the top of the mountain, like very few of us do, you live through these guys, and that's what makes you want to watch it. That's, if you love a team, you end up loving the players more. When they play great for you, they put the body on the line, they play through injury, they do all those things. It makes you grow an affiliation to them that you can't understand if you don't watch sports. And and for me, it's just like it's a culmination of all those things. It's like the guys you cheer for, you finally have a good, a really good season, and then boom, and it's like the inklings. You hear the whispers. You're like, there's goddamn, there's no way.
Yeah.
And then
I mean, and that's the sentiment, and that's why I wanted to get your perspective first on it, because I don't want to lose that sentiment through all of this, right? Like, I think here on this show, right, we obviously break everything down through a fantasy lens, and the way that you consume sports when you play fantasy is obviously different than when you're a diehard fan and you're rooting for a team and things like that, right? And I think that's where we all began with this, right? We're all rugby fans, right? Or you were learning to become a rugby fan in Vandy's case, and in many other people's cases who have bought into the MLR, right? And this is where you're going to build the foundation of a league with passionate fans who love their teams, who are going to grow with their teams, invest in their teams, and pass along that passion to other people, that is going to ultimately grow this game here in North America, especially when it comes to the MLR, right? Because that's what they're trying to do, right? Obviously, grow rugby here and make this professional league in this sport something that is long lasting.
yeah,
And
the thing about, sorry to cut you off, Ryan, but the
no,
thing
no,
is,
no.
like, fantasy is one thing. Fantasy is awesome for a sport, but what it doesn't do is it's a selfish thing in a sense. You draft the guy from a team. You
Right,
don't draft
right.
the team. You could care less. How many times have we said on the show, we don't care who wins. You just care about the outcome,
Yeah, yeah,
And then
yeah.
it's times like this league in particular with moves like this. Now I get it. Now you see some of the people in their comments, and you're like, a little hard on the front office and things like that. And it's like, as a guy who's actually invested, after we've done this for years now, and you follow it and you watch playoffs and you get in for it, it ticks you off, man. It almost makes
Yeah,
you not
yeah.
want to
Well,
reinvest your
that
passion, reinvest your love. So it's like, in a way, you know what? The league owes these guys. The
yeah.
league owes a lot of people over this past season. And honestly, they owe them a lot more than what they've done.
Yeah. I mean, and that's why I want to bring this up, right? We're obviously a fantasy show, right? And we're going to bring up the fantasy numbers, and that's going to be the perspective we have. But I want to highlight that aspect. Like, Vandy, you nail it on the head, right? Like, I think fans are getting somewhat tired. And maybe it's a little late for me to say that. Maybe this has been happening. Like, I think that sentiment has been ringing true for a long time when it comes to this league. But I think we can't lose sight of the fan passion is what is going to keep this league alive, right? And it's hard, right? Like fantasy will play its part and in that role, but I understand, especially being in the sports space, like where the importance of that and it can't be, taken for granted, right? And when you have things like this happen, it's just hard because I'll see the comments, right? Like I'm going down Reddit, going down Twitter, and I'll see that comment that says, like, I was a Utah fan. I was a Houston fan. Like, who do I cheer for now? Right? Like, it's hard to just pick up all the pieces
Hmm.
and then just like all of a sudden, oh yeah, like I'm going to be a Free Jacks fan now, right? Like you can't just expect that that's going to happen. Or I'm going to be, an Old Glory DC fan now. Like,
Yeah,
obviously,
let
maybe
me
you got
go up buy a
players.
New Jersey because my affiliation's changed now.
Right. And in fairness, maybe that's where fantasy will play a part because you get attached to the players, right? So you
Sure.
see, right? You see players like, Tavit Petty, who was on San Diego, now with Chicago. Like, oh, I'm going to be, or Nathan Den Hote. You're a big Houston fan. Like, oh, I'm going to start cheering for Chicago now. Things like that. But again, it's just tough. And I didn't want that sentiment to be lost because I feel it. And I know that in fantasy that can get lost, that one-on-one relationship with rugby fan and team. I want to make sure that's apparently clear and something that we understand. But with that being said, though, I'll give it to Maddie, who is kind of more of an even keel kind of notion and has been talking about, the concern when it comes to this league. And Matthew is quoted as saying on this show, I will not be worried until either New England or Seattle folds before, I actually have concern with this league. Matt, you alluded on this show that Utah many times we're probably not going to be in there. I think secretly,
Mm,
and you can tell me, not obviously hindsight's 2020, that this was probably the outcome that you had thought, but you just didn't want to admit was going to happen. Um,
I
but here
figured
we
this
are
was
with
happening.
here we are with 6 teams heading into MLR 2026. Your thoughts, man?
Look, I mean, I was also quoted saying my expectations are so low, you can't disappoint me. How are you gonna get below the basement? What are you gonna do? So
Yeah, I'm there with you,
I
buddy.
think personally I saw it coming. We know we're gonna have a 2026 season. And I think we'll continue to have MLR seasons, like I said, until Seattle and New England Free Jacks, one of those teams, decide to fold. So I think as MLR fans, we just have to be comfortable with the uncomfortable, be happy with the six that we have,
Hmm.
be happy with the season that we're going to get, and just know that, we're gonna have a year of fantasy MLR, whatever that looks like. It's gonna be electrifying.
Yeah, there's no question about that. There
Actually,
is.
the other upside of this is the parity. There's going to be five competitive teams throughout this entire league, and it's
You
going to be
hope they're
really, it's going to be
competitive.
awesome. I
You
mean,
hope they're
look.
competitive.
I think the thing
What
that
about
you
that
do,
sixth one,
the thing
Maddie?
that you do with this is that you really have a lot of talent. Like you can get a lot of talent concentrated within five teams. Yes, you lose some international guys. Yes, you lose a bunch of Canadian guys, which we'll get into later. But you really concentrated into five teams, and then you just got like I don't know. I think they kind of like a Make-A-Wish team as well.
Jeez. Not holding back. We'll get into it, and we'll get into it. And we'll get that. I think I know the team that Matthew's alluding to that we'll break down it here. In a
Hey,
little
they
bit.
can make
But
changes. They're
I
making
think
big moves. They're making big signings.
I think there's to kind
Gonna
of
be
wrap
trash.
this with a bow, right? Again, unfortunate that here we
Actually,
are.
Ryan, sorry, add them to the list of teams that if they fold, then this league is done. I'm putting Anthem with the Seattle Free Jacks
Okay.
and the New
I can see where you're
with the
coming
Seattle
from.
with the Seattle Seawolves and New England Free Jacks.
What'd
I
you
can
say?
see where you're.
You
I'm
say
putting the Anthem in the teams that if they fold, this league is done.
For different reasons, though.
That's 50%
I
of the teams,
presume.
by the way. Yeah, because
But
you know how
either
much
way,
travel there's going to be now? It's going to be nuts.
it will be nuts. I will say this, right, to put a bow on this, is that I think there's there's two ways you can approach this, right? There is obviously the side that I think that we've taken here to start this show about the negative about it and just being bummed out about this is what we're going through and why are we, how many years into this league, we're still dealing with this stuff. And, I think we were riding a train where things were looking pretty optimistic and in the direction we were going. And maybe you feel like the rug kind of got pulled out underneath you because now here we are with the lowest amount of teams this league has ever had, and it feels like we're taking two steps backward for the one step forward that we made. That's the sentiment here that we started this show with. But where we'll turn this here as we continue to go on is I think the approach that people need to take, as jokingly Maddie says it, where expectations are low, is that in a way we need to roll with the punches. And I know as fans of teams, especially the ones that are not here with us, that's why I want to start with that and saying that that's not something we take for granted, because I know it's not easy, right? It's easy for us to say on the show, or at least for me and Maddie to say on the show, oh, roll with the punches, right? Like if teams get kicked out of the league or fold, like, just move on and continue to watch MLR, right? I understand that's not what every fan is going to have, the experience that every fan is going to be able to take, right? Because if you were Vandy and you were buying into Utah, or you're the passionate fan, like our community moderator, Stephen Lowen, who loves the Houston SaberCats and has no shortage of Houston SaberCats gear that he's bought over the years and has been to games and has invested money. And that's just two of many fans that have been doing this, right? Like, I don't want to take that for granted that, like, I can just say, oh, yeah, like, Vandy just, you're stuck with us. You're part of the show, so you're gonna have to do it no matter what. But I'm saying the other fans,
I'll never love again.
that I don't want to take for granted. Just say, oh, it's easy for you to just move on. But if you are a rugby fan as a whole and want to see professional rugby survive and be a part of the North American sports scene, I think this half glass full type perspective is one that we're going to have to try to embrace. Maybe that means you just don't have a team, right? Maybe if you're a Utah fan and you're a Houston fan, you just watch the league because it's a local league that's in your backyard that you can enjoy. Hey, play fantasy. I'll believe me, you will have a new favorite team, and that will be your team
every year.
You'll be setting up every single time, right? So maybe that'll be
you'll make a waiver pickup, and now you're a fan of like Chicago all of a sudden.
Right. A coping mechanism for that. But to Maddie's point, I think there are going to be still growing pains. And this is a kind of a slap in the face, a reawakening moment where, hey, we're not out of the water yet. As far as this league has come and in the direction, the trajectory we were going, right? Progress is going to take a long time. It's going to take a lot of work. And we'll see. We have 6 teams here on MLR 2026 to look forward to. Fantasy MLR will be a part of that. And we'll just have to see where that goes. Now, it is official. I think we can say now, though, as we move on, it is official. We will have 6 teams. So from now until MLR 2026, none of these surprise announcements. I'm still going to knock on wood, but we know the teams we'll be heading into the 2026 season with, and that is Old Glory DC, the New England Free Jacks, the Seattle Seawolves, the California Legion, Anthem Rugby Carolina, and who am I missing? New England Free Jacks, Chicago Hounds.
Jeez, guy can't even remember 6 names.
Chicago.
Brutal.
So let's pick up the pieces. Let's get stoked for this MLR 2026, and we'll keep it rolling here. So
keep on rolling, partner.
Keep on rolling. Vandy, I'll leave it for you to have the last words here before we move on to other news. Anything that you want to say to the people about now being a victim of this? I guess we had an exodus with your Utah team. We have an exodus in the league where now we've left with less than half the teams we had. Anything you want to say to the people now that you have been entangled in that group?
Well, you lost some of the best fans. You lost that beautiful scenery to watch. Stop fumbling the bag. Figure it out. Yeah, I think that's a lot that we'll be hearing over the next coming years here. Figuring it out. All right, well, let's move on to the other side of the emotional roller coaster. So enough somberness and sadness. But anger.
There were some signings that have happened over the course of the past couple of weeks. Not sure if we've ever had this many signings this early in an offseason that we are abundantly apparent of, and maybe it
A
is
lot
a
of free
product.
agents.
It is, yeah, right, exactly. It's a product of there being a lot of players that are looking for new homes. But here we are, and there are going to be a lot of new faces in new places that got us pretty amped up. And in the midst of all this talk about Utah not being with the team, there's a lot of things to be excited about, and things that we don't know are going to happen this league because of this. And Matt talks about parity and talks about competition. We're definitely going to have that here in 2026. So I'm trying to figure out the best way to go through this. I would say let's go team by team because there's a lot of signings that have happened over the course. The
Mm,
only team that I really haven't heard any signings of have been the California Legion.
they don't exist.
Not quite sure what they're doing yet, but there are some teams and some fans of teams that I think are going to be very, very excited with some of these names that are coming over. Let's start though with the team that Maddie alluded to about being that third team if they were to fold. That probably start ringing that bell of red alert.
Mm.
And that is Anthem Rugby Carolina, who, among a handful of re-signings, which include second rower Sam Gola, 86.4 fantasy points last year. Great second row player that could be that were on everyone's owned in everyone's leagues here, obviously. McKean Alican resigns with the Anthem Rugby Carolina squad, a formidable back row player with 121.8 fantasy points last season. Eric Storty, 73.8 fantasy points, obviously a season that was cut short due to injury, but no less a up and coming young player who on the American rugby scene is obviously making waves and will continue to do so on Anthem Rugby Carolina. Connor Mooneyham returns to Anthem Rugby Carolina. Again, maybe a little bit of a disappointment on fantasy side of things. 68.9 fantasy points, has seen better days, especially on those Seattle Seawolves days. But hey, we'll see whether or not he can return to form here this upcoming 2026 season on Anthem. Tom Pittman, a backup fly half, didn't see any action last season, with 0 fantasy points. And then you add a new group of players here. Luke Carty from the NOLA Gold joins Anthem Rugby Carolina. Malachi Esdale, back three player from the Seattle Seawolves, 84.2 fantasy points, solid player, and pretty electric, sevens guy, joining Anthem Rugby Carolina. And then front row player Peyton Talia Alalio joining from San Diego. Solid front row player, 59.5 fantasy points last season. So you look at those signings, Anthem Rugby Carolina, overall thoughts on the players that are returning and the new faces that are coming to Carolina.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we're surprised that a bunch of Americans are returning to the
Mhm.
Anthem, young American players. I think we love to see some quality guys and them attracting some more quality talent. Guys like Luke Carty, a position where they probably struggle to have consistency at, especially with Clive and Lobster being out for a lot of the year. I think Luke Carty comes in and really gives them some stability in the at the 10 position. Um, and then Malachi Exdale, I mean, he was electric for Seattle last year. He had his moments of brilliance. He had his moments of kind of spark last year, and hopefully he gets an even more opportunity with Anthem, likely being in their starting wing this year. So I can see him having a pretty big impact on the squad.
I should note
Mhm.
that Anthem Rugby Carolina also has some departures, and I guess this will lead into the sole New England Free Jacks announcement that we have, and that is the return of Mitch Wilson to New
Mm.
England. He obviously appeared on Anthem Rugby Carolina all last season, has been obviously with New England before. A player that has
People not loving him right now.
111 and a half fantasy points there. And he now joins New England Free Jacks, departing Anthem Rugby Carolina. So that is the
Wow.
sole New England Free Jacks announcement, at least edition wise. But Maddie, you mentioned Canadian players, though. There's also some other
Well, I was
transitions.
going to say before we get to the departures, I feel like we'll get to that later. Um, Mitch Wilson apparently part of that whole tampering thing that was going on.
Is that what it was?
It was apparently, sources said, the source being Jam Delay's Twitter account, is that this Mitch Wilson signing was the subject of the entire tampering issue that New England Free Jacks had. You know, I don't understand. You just won a championship and now you're trying to cheat, but I don't understand.
Which
You don't have to do
is
it.
connecting the
So the
dots
rich stay rich, baby.
because
Yeah.
the league has not come out and said anything explicitly
Which I
about.
don't know why they wouldn't, but
Oh, the
we're on
league,
brand here. We're
the
on brand here.
MLR
But
isn't saying anything.
if
Wow,
you
shocker.
go onto the Major League Rugby disciplinary page,
Mm.
there is a sole disciplinary action that appears on that page for 2026 so far to start. And that is that the New England Free Jacks have been penalized for violating the league's anti-tampering policy. They have been subject to a salary cap
Oh
deduction,
no, the fake salary cap.
and a first
Don't
round
take
pick
that.
Oh
will now
no, the
go to
draft.
Anthem Rugby Carolina. You connect the dots, and the only transaction that has happened between Anthem Rugby Carolina, at least in 2026, has been Mitch Wilson's return to New England. So, what does that mean? How did this go down? We're not going to be ever quite sure. I'm not sure we're ever
Nope.
going to get a full
Well, they'll
explanation
never
on
tell
this,
us.
but this is what does exist. So, either way, um, a first round draft pick shorter with a little bit of cash shorter. New England ends up with Mitch Wilson. Anthem loses Mitch Wilson, but gains Luke Carty, Malachi Asdale, Peyton Talea Alalio. Let's get on to now another squad. Two of them knocked down, three to go because
Let's do it.
California Legion doesn't have any moves as of
Exist.
yet. The recording of this podcast. But let's go to Old Glory DC. And there are a handful of returning players. Cali Martinez, confirmed to return.
Beast.
Colin Gross,
Beast.
confirmed to return. Back row player, 80.8 fantasy points last season. Very, very, very solid for you. Jason Emery, Jason Robertson, both returning. Utility back Emery,
Jason
solid for you
Square.
when you're going in. Jason Robertson, obviously injury ending his season last year, but he's been a staple of Old Glory DC when they've had success. You add this on top of the return that we announced last episode of Tavita Nakali and Corey Daniel, and the signing of Max Schumacher, Houston Sabercat, young star there. They now add Miami Sharks' Benjamin Bonasso,
Beast.
who has been a stud. Rick Rose, first overall pick,
Ricky Rose.
was on Miami. Fantasy-wise, not that great, but maybe he can see his potential through here on Old Glory DC. And on top of all that, the player that many would argue was last year's Rookie of the Year, Aiden King from the NOLA Gold, 104 fantasy points at the back row position. So you talk about a team that is starting to retool and look a little bit different heading into MLR 2026 and take advantage of some really marquee players who are looking for new homes. Old Glory DC seems to be doing that right now.
Yeah, you lose Jamma Banana Schultz, but you get Aiden King, you get Benjamin
Banana
Bonasso.
shots.
Hey, I like that. I like those two additions. I think they'll fit perfectly into this Old Glory DC side.
Yeah. And like
Ryan,
exciting.
you still an OGDC fan?
Ryan's scared of being a fan of anything because he
I
just
can't be a
kills
fan.
them.
I am not allowed to be because I will say
Ryan
that on this
kills
show,
teams.
and DC will be gone tomorrow.
Yeah, well,
Ryan,
what are you trying to say? You trying to say I
uh,
killed Utah?
well,
it is out there in the ethos of
Ryan
MLR
carries a
content.
scythe with him and just waits.
A scythe.
Dude.
I am the Grim Reaper. I am coming
Yes.
for your team.
I am the one who knocks.
But I have obviously hosted the Old Glory DC podcast that was once in existence, the Road to Glory podcast there for that team. And I had a lot of fun doing so and got to speak with a lot of fun people over there. I have been on the show saying that I was going to be a fan of the Dallas Jackals. They're no longer a part of this league anymore. RFCLA was a team that I was hopping on the bandwagon last year. They're not a team anymore. So I think I'm not allowed. But yeah, if you see me lurking with that site that Matthew happens, I think you know that there are dark days to come. I can say Danny though was not there with Utah for that.
We'll catch you in the stands. You just have a hat on, glasses on like this. You're just like, go.
Exactly. Either way, a lot of exciting things happen. And what I was saying was exciting players added to this roster for DC, right? Ben Bonasso, obviously a veteran player that's been in this league for quite some time, obviously had, that notable stint with the New York Ironworkers and Rugby United New York before that. Excuse me? It does feel like an eternity ago that team existed in this league. Either way, the New York Ironworkers, Ben Bonasso did appear for that team. But the likes of Rick Rose, Aiden King, and Max Schumacher. I mean, talk about guys that are just emerging, right? That's going to be fun to watch
Well,
here.
I mean, I think it's even more impressive of the fact that they were able to keep guys like Jason Robertson,
Mhm.
guys like Jason Emery on their squad, international guys. That you're just not seeing a lot of those guys getting confirmed so far outside of a few of them. Um, as well as I guess Cali Martinez, also international guy. So,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you love to see it. I like so far. I like this offseason for DC.
Yeah, there we go. All right, let's move on to our second last team we'll talk about here, Chicago. Can argue. I have a question for you both at the end of
Uh
this
oh.
segment here, but I feel like we'll be bringing up these two teams' names here in just a bit. But Mark O'Keefe,
Mm,
Mac Jones,
mm,
Chris Hilsenbeck, Lucas Rumble, Mason Flesh, all
love that.
notable guys that have been
Yeah.
with the Chicago Hounds team returning to Chicago. They now, on top of adding Tavit Lopetti, who we talked about last episode, and Nathan Denholt, and Santiago Videla, three of the biggest signings here, I think you could argue here this offseason so far. They
Mm,
now add Ruben DeHaas at the scrum half position as well. Nola Gold9, who's obviously had a lot of potential, younger guy that's played overseas that I think a lot of people see a lot of hope in. Ruben DeHaas now, the new signing, at the most recent new signing here for the Chicago Hounds. Chicago also putting themselves together a quite nice offseason, taking advantage of some of these players.
Yeah, I mean, for fantasy purposes, look, this highlights or this solidifies the fact that Videla is going to be playing in the back three,
Mhm.
likely at 15, unless barring Hilsenbeck injury. But they have no reason to like the fact of the signing of Hilsenbeck. I think that's a great sign for Videla future fantasy managers. So you love to see that. And then you obviously got Tavit Lopetti in the centers, and you got Mark O'Keefe on the wing.
I mean,
Um,
what a fun backline. Like
I
that is
mean,
going to be fun to
Yeah.
watch.
we've said
Like
that before.
like Chris
They
Hilsenbeck,
stunk up the place.
it's true. It's true. But you're adding dynamic players, right?
It's
And
true.
Chris Hilsenbeck at the 10, right? You got Tavit Lopetti at the center position, right? You now add Santiago Videla at the fullback. You have Peyton Wall, the rookie of the year from this past season, in that
Whatever.
mix, along with Mark O'Keefe. Um, Chicago, I think is
Yeah.
gonna be definitely interesting and a talking point heading into
Definitely going to be top six this year.
definitely gonna be top six, that's for sure.
Top
All
five,
right,
probably.
let's go on to Seattle. Not as much to talk about here, but big names nonetheless. Dan Creel announced returning for the
Hmm.
Seattle Seawolves, which is
Love
obviously
that.
a big piece of the Seattle Seawolves offense.
Shout
He's a
out
guy.
Sunday Night Rugby.
Yes, we will talk about that here in just a sec. And the piece that came out on Dan Creel, which was very nice. I know Will Hooley put a lot of work into that. If you haven't seen that, go check that out. But Dan Creel, a guy that has been obviously from a Seattle standpoint, been a foundational piece for them. From a
Stalwart.
fantasy standpoint, last year, a little bit of a down year for him, 62.2 fantasy points, but in the past has been stalwart of a player, your 150.5 fantasy points in 2024, as recent as that. So, a guy that I think a lot of people have hope in heading into this 2026 year to have a bounce back year, at least fantasy wise. The guy, though, that I want to talk about is a new signing here for the Seattle Seawolves. And I believe you can correct me if I'm wrong, but our first like non-MLR vet signing so far this offseason, I feel like
Yeah.
I feel like everyone has been just moving teams, but this is the first that is a player that has never played in the MLR that is coming overseas from a notable background into
Yep.
the league, and that is Mark Bennett, Scottish international center player, um, has played 100 appearances with Edinburgh,
Edinburgh.
Edinburgh, between 2017 and 2025. So a guy that has played a lot overseas on notable teams here, and he joins the Seattle Seawolves side for a pairing that should be pretty nasty. Dan Creel, Mark Bennett, I think will be pretty fun to watch. We'll see if that comes to fruition. But I guess again, sticking with that half glass full type perspective, it is good to see that there's some confidence. Now, it is not a coincidence that it's with Seattle Seawolves, one of the most stable teams in all of the MLR, but a player nonetheless who is notable overseas, seeing a opportunity here in MLR despite everything that's going on and wants to play here in North America.
Yeah. I mean, look, He's an international experienced player playing for Scotland or having caps for Scotland. Played in a World Cup back in the day, 10 years ago. So look, it's like the classic guys from overseas coming off to finish their career here. And no doubt we've seen the recipe in the past work. We've seen the formula in the past work, and we've seen these guys come in and make an instant impact. Um, so yeah, I'm looking forward to it. This is gonna be a good little center pairing to watch.
All right. Quickly here to round out the kind of signings, re-signings, and roster moves portion of this episode. Departures that we need to announce. Steph Hughes. We talked about Old Glory DCs. He officially announced.
Also played for Edinburgh, I think.
Okay. Officially retires, but he does remain with Old Glory DC as their attacks and backs coach.
He's Welsh.
You gotta go fact check yourself before you open that pile.
I did. I fact checked myself. I did live. I live fact checked myself.
I'm proud of you. Very
you know what?
Thank you.
I'm proud of you too. To fact check yourself live.
And call myself out for it.
He returns with Old Glory's DC on the coaching end of things, attack and backs coach, like I said. Josh Larson, who has been a staple and a tackle machine with New England Free Jacks, announces, not really an announcement there, but like when New England, like,
they announced their coaches, and we realized he was on the list.
There you go. So read between the lines, which you do often here on this show and with this league. Josh Larson is now a part of the New England Free Jacks coaching staff, moving from the player to coaching role. A couple of departures, though, now to overseas and not retirements. Richard Judd signs with Rugby Club Vaughn's RCV in the Rugby Pro D2 division. And then LaRue Milan joining the Sharks in the URC, which is obviously a huge step up. And again, always going to congratulate players who are able to use the MLR as a stepping stone to reach marquee stages, which both Richard Judd, obviously, who has played at high stages before, but Laura Milan as well, joined the Sharks on a mainstream league as the URC. So those are your departures. We'll round out the segment, though. Well, I guess, wait, before we get into that, Maddie, is there anything?
Oh, there's tons of departures, Ryan.
Okay, correspondent.
We know guys are not coming in, so these are the New Zealand guys and the Kiwis that are not coming back to the MLR this upcoming year. So I guess congratulations, but also sucks to be MLR. So Kyle Brown from the team formerly known as Utah Warriors, the center.
Not funny.
Was pretty good. Is signed for the Chiefs this year in Super Rugby, so congrats to him. And he really didn't have anywhere else to go. And then the Moana Pacifica team has also signed onto their squad Tupo Afongia, who was formerly part of the team, formerly known as Nola Gold. And I mean, he played a lot, didn't have too much fantasy impact last year, but we have seen what he can do during his time in San Diego. Now that is not it. The exodus does not stop there. We continue to see Kiwi guys leave the MLR and find better fitting. One of the guys going to the Blues wider squad is Jed Melvin, a guy that we are really going to hate to see go. This guy is an absolute beast for the New England Free Jacks last year, and by far one of their top three, not three players. He will be part of the Blues wider training squad. We also have, I'm just looking at the list here. We also have, he wasn't in the MLR last year, but might as well call him out. Tinlino Filimone. He has a long-standing contract with the Nola Gold. I do not think is going to be upheld, but it doesn't matter because he is with the Hurricanes wider training group anyways. So love to see that. I believe he was with the Chiefs last year, or the Highlanders, and he actually got some Super Rugby playing time. So good for him. And the last one is Drew Wild with the team formerly known as the Houston Sabercats. He is with the Hurricanes wider training group as well. So congrats to him. I believe that is it. There is one other name. I think Sam Matanga on here on the Blues wider training squad. He used to play for Seattle. But yeah, I'm sure you can find a bunch of past MLR guys sprinkled in there.
Yeah. Well, obviously the notable names in that.
Jed Melvin.
That's
tough.
Yeah, that's tough. Brutal.
That's tough for New England. Like that's a huge one. And then, Jed Melvin also, like New England Free Jacks, they lost Ethan Fryer. So I know a bunch of Canadians they announced. Ethan Fryer, Cole Keith, I don't know if we already announced this, but I think it was Ethan Fryer, Cole Keith, some other guys. A lot of Canadians are leaving this New England Free Jack side. I'm sure not on their own accord. But it's sad to see our Canadian team south of the border is no more.
Yeah.
Might be
No,
Chicago.
it's, I mean, you talk about departures, right? Jed Melvin, LaRue Milan, uh, Josh Larson, who is now coach. Like, this is going to probably be the tallest task here. Obviously, they've gone back, but
Mm.
this one is as kind of different as we've seen it here for a team that's been quite stable over the course of the past handful of years. So we'll see any more news that does come out in
Sorry,
terms of who will step into
just
those positions.
to confirm all the departures that were confirmed by the Jack Rangers people. I'm assuming they're pretty known, pretty reliable here when it comes to doing a Free Jacks. Isaac Olson, Foster Dewitt, Ethan Fryer, Cole Keith, Cam Nordley, Calameti, Kyle Steves, Jack Reeves, and Josiah Mora, all departing the Free Jacks this year, not knowing what's happening next.
Yeah.
But a lot of Canadians.
A lot of Canadians there. All right. So then, with knowing that, I don't want to. Well, obviously, more signings are going to come here, and these teams are going to look different, and we're going to continue to analyze that as they come through. But
sorry, right. By the way, Ruben DeHaas going to Chicago likely means I'm going to say Jason Higgins is out.
Okay.
And they have a lot of Canadian guys already. So Jason Higgins, I don't think we should expect him back.
Yeah.
Sorry, throwing that in there.
Out of all the teams that you've seen these roster moves happen, which team? I'm not going to say winners and losers yet because there still can be roster moves that happen. But which team are you most excited for heading into 2026 with the roster moves that you've seen? I think there's two obviously apparent teams that I think a lot of people are going to choose from as of right now. But I want to get your guys' thoughts, Maddie, Vandy, who you're most excited with some of the new additions and I guess re-signings of some of these players.
Yeah, probably the California Legion. I mean, the possibilities are just endless. You know, it could be anybody. It could be Ma'ananu coming back. We could see Dan Carter returning. We could see, Will Hooley decide to come out of the booth and start playing for the team formerly known, I guess, formerly known as San Diego Legion, but now known as California Legion, and feel an obligation to come back. So the possibilities are just endless there.
Did you have that
it makes me excited. Well, I didn't know you were asking this question, but I just felt like I had to.
All right. Outside of the California. Well, okay, I'll let Matty stew on it. I feel like he's stalling maybe. But Vandy, who are you most excited for?
I'm pretty excited for Chicago. I mean, I think they stacked up pretty. Yeah, well, I mean, I can find another team here. All right.
Ain't no red and black teams anymore.
Yeah, I don't think I can. Maybe 2030.
All right. Vandy says Chicago. Maddie,
I gotta go with Old Glory DC. I think I said this last year too, and they disappointed me. But look, I think Old Glory DC, they're making a lot of big moves. I like it. They're keeping big guys like Jason Robinson, Jason Emery. Love to see it.
All right. Okay, well, let's wrap up this show here with the straggling pieces of news to catch up on. I'm just going to shotgun approach this.
By the way, you think Anthem wins a game this year? Nah.
It's too
I mean, it'd be the year. It'd be the year to do it.
It would be the year. It would be the year. But I guess we'll see. A question for a later day. That is for sure.
I just imagine every player that gets signed there, whatever they got last year, 90% less.
What, fantasy points?
Yeah.
Yeah. Tough. Okay, I'm gonna shotgun approach these last tidbits of news. You guys tell me what you're most excited for out of these news and notes. Okay.
Right.
According to Alex Goff, Nola players
I'm not excited for this one. This one. What do you want us to do with this one?
Unhappy with how contracts are
to be happy about this one?
I'm just kidding. Well, it's a sensitive topic.
No, but finish this one.
According to Alex Goff, Nola players are unhappy with how the contracts have been addressed following their folding. So obviously not good to see here. Wanted to bring this up earlier, but
just a quick thing on this. If you're gonna fold. All right, do it. It's fine. It happens. It's a business, but do it the right way. Treat your people, not just the players, but the employees of the organization with some respect. You made the decision to fold. You have to know how to fold, with some class. So that's all I have to say for the teams that we haven't heard anything about. I hope you're doing that. And I'm glad we haven't heard anything for NOLA. Figure it out.
Yeah.
Just like
Okay.
Vandy said.
I like it.
All kidding aside, there's 4 pieces of news. You
That
guys
wasn't a
tell me
joke.
what you're most excited about. Okay. Old Glory DC confirms that they have a new home field that is going to be at George Mason University. So they move from their old field here. The announcement was made
Maryland
there.
Sports
They go to
Complex.
George and Mason University. All right. Seattle confirms that NBA star, pretty big star, maybe not on the
Future
LeBron
star.
level, future star. Paulo Banchero has joined the ownership group. So talk about the team that has maybe the most colorful ownership group in terms of notable names. What is the list? They got Paulo Banchero now, NBA
Marshawn
player,
Lynch.
Marshawn Lynch.
I
I feel like I'm forgetting it. Like I feel
feel
like
like there's another NFL guy in there somewhere.
yes. So there you what's his face? Ravens safety. Um, not there anymore.
Marlin? No,
No,
not
no, no,
there.
no. No. Corner.
How long we talking?
Uh
Like Ed Reed.
no, not Ed Reed. It's not Ed Reed.
Imagine
Hold
Ed Reed.
on. Hold on.
Check yourself while we're doing this.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Yeah,
fact
this
check. I'm
is
just gonna
crazy.
All right.
This is crazy
uh,
work.
dang it. I should know this.
I think you're thinking about the New England Free Jacks.
No. I oh, here, right here.
Oh, let him
Marcus
cook.
Peters. Marcus Peters.
Peters.
Marcus Peters.
Okay.
Yes, that's who I was meant. Okay. So there's that piece of news. There is now Sunday night rugby on
It's Sunday
ESPN.
night.
It's Sunday night.
Yeah, you think Karen was going to do it?
She better.
Yeah.
Um,
Waiting all day for Sunday
so-
night.
amid all of it, it's just this is the emotional roller coaster I'm talking about, right? You got things where the team's leaving, and then you have exciting things like this. It just tears you in half when it's like that. So Sunday Night Rugby on ESPN, highlighting all that on a mainstream channel, obviously on MLR on ESPN last year, and now they have Sunday Night Rugby on ESPN.
Great piece on Dankfield. Check it out. Great
Yep.
job, Will Hooley.
Yep. So we'll start featuring games 2026 season. Yeah, ESPN. Will Hooley, obviously a part of that. Friend of the show, which is great to see. Which we got to bring him on some point. Great guy. Met him at the final. Was fantastic. And then last piece, Guelph. The Guelph Griffins win their first ever Canadian University Men's Rugby Championship. They beat what might be one of the most fun names in all of university sports, and that is the École de Technologie Supérieure, ETS, the Piranhas. They beat the Guelph Griffins, beat the Piranhas in the Canadian final. Sorry, Maddie, no UBC.
Hey, they got
For me,
bronze, but hey, if you're not first, you're last.
no Western.
It's true.
I will take solace in the fact that Western did lose to Guelph in the semifinal of the OUA. So
Jeez,
there is
it's like
that.
that's like so. There's 8 teams that make it. They got 12th place in Canada.
That's
Way to
okay. Because it was, I think,
Congratulations.
representing Ontario was what, both Guelph and Queens, right? As
Go
long as
Purple
Queens,
Ponies.
as long as Queens wasn't winning that, so I'm okay with that.
right.
So
So
quickly
what are
here,
we most excited about?
yeah, what most news are you most excited about?
You know what? I'm gonna say OGDC George Mason University Field. Boy, I cannot wait for people to watch games from the stands there, 20 meters back from the sideline. Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Vandy, anything that excites you there on those other pieces of news?
You guys excite me.
No, that's all I need. That's all I need. Paula Banchero. We'll go with that one. Joins
Yeah.
Marcus Peters and
You know what?
Marshawn Lynch. That's pretty fun.
It was fun hearing those names again, you know?
Yeah.
Maybe one
There we
day
go.
I'll hear like Paula CK investing in something.
There you go. All right. Well, hey, again, obviously there was international tests that happened. Canada,
Right.
USA plan.
Rye.
Yeah.
Rye.
Yes.
Throw a quick bone. Hit the thing real quick. We'll take 2 minutes.
All
Let's do this. Let's do this.
TFR Betting Challenge.
All right. TFR betting challenge. Maddie's got an itch to lay some money
just do
I
down.
was
it.
gonna
Real
say
quick.
this wasn't in the mock-up.
Just do it real quick.
Okay. What games we talking here, Maddie?
We got what do we got? What do we got on your side? I won't look. We got
Okay.
Wales, New Zealand. We got Ireland, South Africa, France, Australia, England,
Okay.
Argentina. I would love if a Wales, New Zealand, and Ireland, South Africa.
I got.
France,
We'll
Australia.
just talk international matches here. I got 5 matches on here.
All right.
New Zealand, Wales,
Yeah.
South Africa, Ireland,
Yeah.
Chile, Italy,
Don't care.
Australia,
Sorry.
Australia, France, and Argentina, England. Okay, so let's
All
start
right.
off with Saturday, 10:10 Eastern time in the morning. New Zealand at Wales. Maddie, what do we think this
New Zealand's favored by 12 and a half. Not looking at the screen, but it's 12 and a half.
you're not looking at the screen.
No.
Okay.
Is it
No,
12 and a half?
higher, much higher,
17 and a half.
much higher,
Wow. 21 and a half.
much higher.
Get out of town. Wales covers. That's my pick. Ireland versus South Africa.
No, okay, 27 and a half. That is the
Wales
spread.
covers.
Okay.
Wales covers. Bowden
Okay.
Barrett's likely out. And yeah, I think Wales covers.
Any
Ireland versus
Is there any part of you that just puts a little bit on
no
Wales plus
no money line.
1300? Okay.
No
All right.
money line.
South Africa, Ireland. Maddie, what do we got?
Yep. South Africa favored by 3.5.
A little bit higher.
Shut up. 5.5.
5.5.
Wow.
Shut up.
I think South Africa wins that. I wouldn't touch that one. That's a kind of a tough one.
Okay.
Ireland's South Africa's really good right now. Don't care about Italy, Chile.
Okay. Italy is favored by 23.5 in case anyone
Don't care.
wanted to know.
France versus Australia.
Australia at France, 3:10 Eastern time Saturday.
France favored by 5.5.
Higher.
Shut up. 8.5.
Higher.
12.5.
Higher.
Somebody get this guy to shut up.
17.5.
16.5. France is
All right.
favored.
I like Australia covering that one. That's actually a
You
real nice
always
one.
love the dogs. Vandy, this is the thing. Just bet the dogs, Vandy. Bet the
Big
dogs.
spreads. The wider their spread, the more I'm in. All right.
Argentina, England. Here, let's wrap it up.
That's my man.
England's favored.
By how much?
Maddie's got that.
7.5.
Oh, get him.
Higher.
Argentina covers.
10.5 is the final there.
Argentina covers.
All right.
Just kidding. It's
So-
at Twickenham. Do not touch that one. England will win. But France, I like Australia covering, and I like Wales covering. Those spreads are way too large for international test rugby right now.
All right. Wales covering 27.5. Australia covering 16.5. Those are Maddie's picks of the week. All right. Vandy, Maddie, anything left you want to say to the people as we wrap up the show?
Utah.
As
you'll be
we
missed.
go on,
Yeah, no.
we remember.
Nothing.
All right. Well,
I'm
sing
doing
me
my
out,
own
Maddie. Keep on
compilation.
going.
Had to get
For Matt Yee. For
Thank you,
W.
when
Utah.
our lives
Thank
I am
you,
Ryan
Utah.
Gay, and we'll see you on another episode.
Whatever, we will still be.
You've been listening to the Fantasy Ruckers Show, bringing fantasy rugby to the masses, covering everything rugby from the MLR and beyond. We hope you enjoyed the show. Make sure to like, rate, and review, and be sure to tell all your friends. We'll be back soon, but in the meantime, connect with us on social media at the Fantasy Ruckers. Till next time, this is the Fantasy Ruckers Show, signing off.